You know, I've become a little bit of a controller guy lately. I used to only buy first party controllers because, in my opinion, I always thought that third party controllers weren't that great. I mean, honestly, the last time I really used a third party controller as my main controller was back in the PS1 era. And that was with this controller that I do not remember the name of it, but it had turbo on it. So it made playing Final Fantasy VIII a little bit easier because, you know, when you had to do the GF boost and quickly press square, yeah, I would just turn on turbo, hold square, and it will do all the pressing for me. Since then, my third-party controller, buying habits, I guess you could say, were just almost non-existent. I think after that, I bought a PS2 controller. It's probably like Mad Catz or something like that. They had a keyboard on it, so when I played Final Fantasy XI on PS2, it was just a lot easier to type. But other than that, I just stuck to first-party controllers because in my head, and honestly speaking, the build quality are just a lot better in first-party controllers. That is until now. Recently, I feel like companies are starting to get a hang of it and starting to make really good alternative controllers. Maybe not for PlayStation and Xbox yet, but when it comes to Nintendo Switch and PC, there's a huge variety of really good controllers that I would highly recommend. But I'm not gonna really dive into that. I did make an unboxing video of my 8-bit Do Ultimate Bluetooth controller and also the Gulikit Zen Pro Controller. And in this video, I'm really just going to talk about the Zen Pro Controller. So yeah, I purchased this not that long ago actually at Target. I actually was surprised to see it at Target. Apparently what the Zen Pro Controller is just a rebranded King Kong Pro 2 controller. I've looked for it forever. I mean, it's been on Amazon for quite some time, but anytime I see the listing on Amazon, it's just never like Gulikit themselves or any first party or Amazon themselves selling it. It's always like a third-party company, and me personally, when I buy stuff off of Amazon, if it's not the company itself or Amazon, I usually try to stay away from purchasing it from third-party resellers. But in this case, the Zen Pro controller was actually available at Target, which I was surprised. And I was wondering for the longest time, what is the Zen Pro controller? Is it as good as a King Kong Pro 2 controller? Or is this something totally different? Well, like I said a little bit earlier, it is a King Kong Pro 2 controller, in every way, shape, or form. I guess the biggest differences you're going to see for this is the King Kong Pro 2 controller, the white variant specifically, has all white buttons. In this case, the Zen Pro has black buttons instead, which I guess it doesn't bother me. If you're really into aesthetics and if something like that bothers you, then I guess I can see that bothering you. But for me, I don't know, I prefer this a little bit better. Alright, so let's go more into what the Zen Pro controller is. What makes it stand out from other third-party controllers is it utilizes Hall effect thumbsticks. What that means is these thumbsticks here should technically never drift. Now, to my knowledge, I don't know too many people that buy controllers like this and test them out, so I don't know if they've ever drifted. But I have used the 8-bit Do Ultimate controller for quite some time now, the Bluetooth variant, and that actually has Hall effect sensors, and so far, it hasn't drifted on me. But that being said, my Switch Pro controller also hasn't drifted. Neither has my DualSense or any of my other controllers. Really, the only experience of drift I've had was with the Joy-Cons, which I'm sure if you have a Nintendo Switch, you've experienced that. And that's not the only spot that the Hall effect sensors are at. They're actually on the analog sticks as well, which is kind of interesting. So these are also Hall effect sensors. And to just put it into perspective, what Hall effect means, it just really means rather than using plastic, it's using magnets to kind of, adjust the feel, I guess you could say, of the way the triggers are pulled, which means technically speaking, it shouldn't break because typically triggers have a piece of plastic there. So when you press in on it, it actually presses on usually to a rubber membrane that touches the board, which then in turn lets you know that it's being pressed in the game. But in this case, it's using magnet sensors. So theoretically, it shouldn't have any issues. Again, I've not used it long enough to really tell the difference, so we'll see how that works there. Now, as far as design goes, the Gulikit Zen Pro controller looks exactly like an Xbox controller. In the terms of shape and everything, it literally is an Xbox controller. If it didn't have Gulikit branding on it, you would assume it's an Xbox controller. But there are some minor differences. Mainly the D-pad. The D-pad is nowhere near like the Xbox controller. I actually like the feel of this D-pad. I'm not sure if I like this more than the 8-bit Do controller, but I do like the feel of the D-pad. It is a little bit different. Also, when it comes to the casing around the thumbsticks, this is actually metal, which is pretty cool. And what that means is just basically when it rubs against there, it's just metal and not plastic. So you shouldn't get any type of like plastic markings. If you look at my 8-bit Do controller, and hopefully you can see it, it's actually a little bit of white underneath there. I'm not sure if the camera will show it. I guess we'll have to see after the fact. But it's a little bit of white underneath there, and that's just from it rubbing against the plastic of the controller. It's not anything bad or negative to say, but it does feel good when you move this in circles versus this. Like you can feel a little bit of tension because of the plastic, versus here is very smooth because of the metal. And I guess you could say that's a plus for the Gulikit controller. Now, the Zen Pro controller could be used on PC, Switch, Android, iOS, or technically any other console. Gulikit themselves do sell an adapter called the Goku wireless adapter. Yeah, like that Goku. They sell the Goku wireless adapter, and basically what that allows you to do is plug it into pretty much anything, whether it's a PS5, Series X, or even your PC or Switch. And that will allow the Gulikit Zen Pro controller to connect to those devices. Now, I think that's a pretty awesome deal right there, because I really like the way Hall effect sensors feel. If you've never used a controller with Hall effect sensors, and then you start going back and if you start using a Hall effect sensor controller and then you go back to a normal one, it's quite a bit of a difference. I mean, honestly, when I first got my 8-bit Do Ultimate controller, I noticed the difference right away. And when I would switch back to like my DualSense or even my Xbox controller, there was quite a difference in feel when it came to the thumbsticks. But with that adapter, now you can technically just use your Gulikit Zen Pro controller on any platform you like. The adapter is separate, but other than that, I mean, honestly, I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool deal that they're doing something like that. 8-bit Do sells a similar adapter, but it's only for the reverse, right? It allows you to use like a PS5 or an Xbox controller on, let's say, a Nintendo Switch. Where Gulikit has kind of made it go anywhere you want it, and I think that's pretty awesome. Now, as far as switching the platforms you want to use it on, they do make it very easy. There is a little indicator on the top, and basically all you have to do is tap on that indicator, and that will switch mode from Nintendo Switch mode to Windows mode to Android, iOS mode, or D input mode. Very easy. It does remember what you paired to last. So let's say you're using the Windows version or the Windows icon for your PC, and then you want to switch back to your Switch. If you press the button and switch your input, it will automatically connect to that device, which is pretty cool. Another neat thing to note about this controller is for Nintendo Switch users, it does wake your controller. There's very few third-party controllers that actually wake your Nintendo Switch, but this controller actually does wake your Nintendo Switch, and it also supports NFC, and I feel like NFC is a lot more rare than waking your Nintendo Switch. Just to put it into perspective, the 8-bit Do Ultimate Controller Bluetooth model does wake your controller, but you actually have to shake your controller. So basically you press the power on button and then you shake your controller, and that will wake your Nintendo Switch. But it does not support NFC. And like I've said, I don't think any third-party controller supports NFC. I might be wrong. If I am wrong, just let me know in the comments below and let me know what controller actually supports NFC. But that is a cool feature for Gulikit. And a huge plus for this. Now, overall feel, like it is very lightweight, which I do like about this controller. Like I said, it does remind me of an Xbox controller a lot in terms of like holding it, but I feel like it's a little bit lighter than the Xbox controller. It does have a rechargeable battery. They do stay about 25 hours of charge time. I mean, I've only had this for about a week and I'm still very close to full battery. I mean, I did a 12-hour stream on Tears of the Kingdom, didn't have to charge it there. What else did I do? Yeah, I've been using it since then, like playing Tears of the Kingdom, and it's still almost, at least according to the Nintendo Switch, it's full, unless it's reading it wrong on the Nintendo Switch, but I mean, I don't think so. That is pretty cool. 25 hours of battery life, which is quite some, I think it's quite a bit, right? Like, we don't need crazy hours, right? Especially when you compare it to a DualSense, that only does like 2 hours. Quite a bit of time in my opinion. As far as charging goes, you do have to just plug it in. It is a USB-C port, so you just plug it into any adapter there. It would have been cool if it came with some type of dock or something like that, but I mean, if you have a Switch Pro controller already, you can just use that same USB-C cable to go ahead and plug it into this. If not, it does come with a USB-C cable. Of course, you can plug it into your dock and just have it charging that way. Another thing I wanted to mention is there is an AI button, which is this little setting button right here. Basically what that does, it allows you to go ahead and basically create like a macro, for instance. So let's say you're going ahead and playing a game and there's a lot of farming involved. what you can do is by pressing this button and doing your button inputs, it will record 10 minutes of your inputs, and once you press it, it'll go ahead and do those inputs again. I think it's a neat feature. It's something that I personally wouldn't use, but I guess maybe if you're playing a game that needs a lot of farming, right, like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, where you have to do almost like daily tasks every day, I guess that would make it a little bit easier. Again, me personally, I don't care for that feature, but I guess, hey, the feature's there if you want to use it. Another thing I wanted to mention was that there are no back buttons. So if you really like using back buttons, unfortunately the Gulikit Zen Pro Controller doesn't have any. The 8-bit Do Ultimate Controller does have some back buttons, and I do like using this. For example, let's say if I want to run in the game, rather than have to press in the thumbstick, I can just go ahead and hold my finger here and allow me to run. And it could be useful there. The Zen Pro Controller unfortunately doesn't have any back buttons, so it might be a deal breaker for some people. I don't think it's a big deal because most of the controllers I have don't have back buttons, but it is a neat feature to have, specifically when it comes to the Ultimate Controller. So far, I really do like the Zen Pro Controller, but there is a huge negative. So one of the other key features about this controller is that the face buttons are actually supposed to be mechanical. So similar to a mechanical keyboard, these are supposed to be mechanical switches. Now, the negative about this is less than a day of me having this, the A button started sticking. And if you look online, a lot of people have that same issue. You go ahead and you just press on A, and over time it will stick, or it'll start squeaking really loud. When I mean really loud, let's just put it this way. I was doing a 12-hour stream, I had my headphones on, and I was still able to hear the squeaking noise. So yeah, it's pretty loud and very annoying. If you're like me, I hate like squealing sounds. It really just like, I don't know, it irritates me, gives me goosebumps and stuff like that. This will bother you, and I don't like that. I did contact Gulikit. They are sending me replacement buttons to see if that'll fix it. If it doesn't, I more than likely will return this. And that's actually, to me, it's a huge deal breaker, because it seems like this seems to be a common issue with both the King Kong Pro 2 controller and the Zen Pro controller. If you look at reviews on both Amazon and even Target, a lot of people are complaining about the same thing. Others say that once they swap out the buttons for the newer ones, they don't have that same issue, which is kind of cool, I guess, but I shouldn't have to do that to make my controller work. So to me, that's a huge negative. For a $60 controller, you expect this thing to work. But yeah, that's everything on the Gulikit Zen Pro controller. I mean, honestly, this was close to being my favorite controller, but the sticky buttons is kind of a huge issue. We'll see what happens when I fix it. If I replace the if I replace the button caps here and it fixes the issue, then I guess, yeah, I might keep it, but we'll see. To me, it annoys me. As of right now, the 8-bit Do Ultimate controller is probably my favorite. It is bigger, thicker, heavier. I mean, when you look at the thickness between the two, it's a lot thicker. But I do like that it does have the rear buttons. I do like that there is no sticky buttons. They're a lot louder too. And it does give you the Hall effect triggers and a Hall effect thumbsticks. Also, the D-pad is actually really good for this one. So, I mean, as of right now, I think this is the #1 controller, but the Zen Pro controller is not bad. Let's hope it changes, because there are more uses for this. Specifically, if you get that Goku wireless adapter, I do like that I can use this no matter what on no matter what console I decide to use. Also, on the keycaps, they do make it very easy to remove. I'm sorry, the face buttons, they do make it really easy to remove. All you have to do is kind of use what you would use on a keyboard, right? You will go ahead and press on it and just lift it up, and it slides right off, and then you put in a new button there, which I think that's pretty awesome. So if you're somebody who, let's say, buys this, but you want to use it on PC only, and you kind of get confused between A, B, X, and Y, you can reverse the keys there, or I'm sorry, you can reverse the buttons there, and it will allow you to basically use like an Xbox controller. I mean, when you're in PC mode anyways, this is considered A, and this is considered B, of course, you know, X and Y. But if you can't trick your brain into believing that, you can always replace or move over the buttons if you need to. But yeah, let me know what you think about the Zen Pro controller. Are you gonna get one, or do you already have a King Kong Pro 2 controller? Let me know if you're gonna get that. For me, I guess we'll wait and see. I more than likely will return it if that doesn't fix the issue. If it does, I don't know, maybe I'll make a short or something like that and let you know what I think about it, if I'm gonna keep it or not. But that's everything I have for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us over on Twitch, and don't forget to check out the podcast every Sunday. My name is James from The Random Encounter, and I'll see you next time.